Hey guys, it's Nicholas Leopold, Nick Leopold, or whatever you want to call me. But recording this for a third time or fourth time now because I have a new phone, and with these phones, there's no standardization or much of any logical or rational, ergonomic or functional design philosophy at hand here. It's just basically the wild, somewhat free, somewhat regulated market of cell phones, and I suppose anything goes if you're Apple, Samsung, or the Chinese knockoff company du jour. But clearly, cell phone companies and data companies and phone companies in America and elsewhere in the world don't want to make it easy for us to function with our phone systems or communication systems or social media for that matter. But anyway, as I was saying when I tried this just a minute ago, for the past years, I suppose, I haven't really felt like making videos, but here I am making a video. Why right now? I do not know. But what is the date today? Let me check my phone here. Ah, yes, it's Sunday, March 17th, 2024. And here I am, Nick Leopold, uh, making a video for the first time in years to put on YouTube, I suppose. And if I can figure it out, I suppose I would put it on where again? Now, Rumble, is it? That's supposed to be more enlightened than YouTube, because we all know YouTube's problems, and YouTube has problems, just like eBay has problems, just like today's internet is not the internet of 20 years ago or 10 years ago, that's for sure. Anyway, meanwhile, who am I? I mean, what am I doing now making a video of all times? And me to make a video of myself with all the videos I already have on the internet, which are not that many, but anyway. Well, I guess I thought about it, and I finally used another browser and saw that some of my stuff actually still is on the internet. Miracle of miracles. So people, if they use another search engine besides Google, they actually can see some of my stuff. And well, I'm slightly relieved that a good amount of my stuff from the past internet age is still on the internet. When I thought that all of it had been driven off by my enemies, whoever they are. But I am very much alive, despite the fact of having some enemies, whoever they are, really, because it's not the entire NYPD or the entire sheriff's department of the New York City or the entire Port Authority Police, even though those three organizations have thoroughly screwed me since 8 years ago and previously too, because they're just such a bunch of a-holes, at least a lot of them are. And everyone knows it, but not everyone will admit it. But yeah, police in the New York area tend to be a-holes, and that's not my fault. And it's, well, they can kill some of us for saying it, but it's the truth. If even if they don't want to admit it, even if they want to be animals, I'm sorry, being animals and breaking the law is against the law. And if you're the police or anyone else and you break the law, basically, well, you have to answer to yourself or your God or both, and you have to answer to the law keepers, I suppose. And all of us are somewhat law keepers, unless we just want to live. Well, unless we just want to die, we have to follow some laws, whatever, because basically, if we're human, well, we have to eat, unless we're special humans that don't have to eat, and I don't know who those are. Unless we have special powers, we basically have to follow the laws of the universe, and those laws are basically the same everywhere in the world. And I suppose there's some difference between jungle law and developed world law, but jungle law is still, you have to eat and you have to respect superior power or firepower, and if you're a gorilla in the jungle, you have to respect a gorilla who's three times as big as you and a better fighter than you, and the same thing in the developed world. Plus, the developed world has more refined laws. But anyway, yeah. So why am I bringing that up? Because basically, I'm a very good person. I'm a very conscientious person. I try very hard to do the right thing. Sometimes foolishly so, or foolishly to such a degree it's foolish. But yeah, I'm basically a good person. I basically respect the law, but a lot of police don't in this state, and maybe a lot of their commanders or a lot of the politicians who control them, who happen to not like my politics or not like me exercising my free speech, think they can break the law against me. And unfortunately, so did some of my family members too, like 7 or 8 years ago when my uncle Joe Chira from Rye, New York, and now Carmel, California, filed whatever legal action he did against me, which has still not been shown to me. And that's what the law is in New York. It's this potentially mysterious body of attorneys and judges who apply laws to you, but they don't even deliver one shred of document or paperwork to you when they apply these laws to you. And they can just do anything they want to you over a period of up to 9 months and lock you up or do anything they want to you. As long as they feed you. But apparently they consider that legal. But I'm sorry, that's against human rights, and it's against the basic law of America. And I'm not Charles Manson, and I'm not uh, who would I put? I'm not Friedrich Nietzsche, and I'm not the Prince or by Machiavelli. So I mean, they don't have the right to violate my American rights or constitutional rights or human rights. So basically, they violated the law against me, and these attorneys and judges and officials and politicians in New York who have done this to me, as well as my uncle and my other family members and my cousins who have done this to me, they're going to face their God and themselves for what they've done to me because they've broken the law against me. And if I ever get attorneys, which I probably will, because I'm basically a good person and I expect the law to respond to this injustice for the past 8 years that's been done to me, I'm going to get some measure of justice, and I expect to because that's what usually happens in our society. And this is New York. It's not the wrong side of the tracks in Afghanistan, and it's not the wrong side of the tracks in Siberia, Russia, purportedly. Nor is it the wrong side of the tracks in the wrong side of the worst ghettos in New York, nor is it the wrong side of the tracks in Nicaragua and El Salvador during the heyday of the death squads of 40 years ago or 50 years ago, and nor is it the wrong side of the right side of New York, which I'm still in. So I'm going to get some justice, and I'm going to get some attorneys or lawyers one of these days soon. Plus, I'm making a lot of other moves in my life to improve my life and get my life back on my feet. And these family members are going to hear from my people or me or my side, and I'm going to get some compensation and damages from them, I suppose, which I expect. And my lawsuits against New York City will happen, or something else will happen to make up for what the New York City has done to me, as well as the Port Authority of Police. And they did what they did, and they'll find out what they did and what their officers did or whatever. Meanwhile, I'm the same respectable, beautiful person I usually always was and am always, and I will get what I am expecting to get. Plus, I will get I have my plans professionally, and I have to raise money for several of my business ventures and artistic ventures, which is another story which I may or may not decide to talk about publicly. But anyway, my artistic life consisting of my painting, photography, of course, which is well documented on Twitter and Facebook, and my poetry also, which is well documented on those platforms, plus sculpture, which I aspire to even approach, much less master, which is, I think, impossible for me. Sculpture being what it is, and what it's been described to me as by actual fine artists, which I am do not claim to be in terms of painting or sculpture, for sure. Because sculpture as a classic art is so unbelievable. It's like studying astronomy. But anyway, uh, yeah, I do aspire to approach sculpture from some basic level with some assistance, maybe from some craftsmen. But anyway, yeah. But then also there's my filmmaking, and I have my student films booked from at City College. But then I want to do my professional films, and basically I'm getting ready to do those. But that's another story. But yeah, I'm getting ready to do my professional films. But the main reason I'm checking in with this video is what else do I mentioned on March, whatever it is, in 2024. Uh, I guess, well, I don't want to mention negative things, but anyway, I'm a very positive person, and, I've learned to be even more positive in the past 10 years, so I'm super positive now. But anyway, I'm super, I'm super charming, super positive, and super strong now, but, well, I still can't fight the entire 40,000 unit NYPD, but I expect to get a few lawsuits against them. But anyway, yeah, I'm super positive now and super spiritually strong now and getting stronger by the day, as we all do. Um, but anyway, I guess I should mention the election this year, and people who know me or have followed me in the East Village and the City Council 2 of New York City electoral region or area know that my campaign has been going on as my gig campaign for all offices, but mainly for U.S. President, City Council 2, U.S. Senate, and I guess mayor when it's time to run for mayor. But that's my gig campaign, and I handed out about, I guess, at most 5 or 10,000 flyers that I printed up. I think it was like 5,000 at most. But I mean, I handed them out in Soho. I handed them out in the East Village in front of Veslika. I guess everyone knows Veslika in the East Village. And I handed them out across the street from my area. And that's my flyer. And if you follow me, then you've seen my flyer and you've seen my Twitter also with my flyer tweet. But where I am on Twitter is I've been locked out again, and I'm locked out of all my social media and all my email. And I just got this new phone, and because I'm being extorted still by Joe Chira, my crazy uncle, who's just off the wall and doesn't even understand the damage he does. But everyone in the family, through the last all of my life, basically there's one person in the family that everyone agrees is a total bad, evil, destructive person towards everyone, and that's Joe Chira. And yeah, I was friends with him just like I was friends with everyone, as far as that goes. And it's gone just about as far as it can go for me. And now I regard my family in a totally different way, which has been proven to me by sheer force. But anyway, I regard my family members, all of them, in a totally different way. But then there's my mother and father. But then that's my actual nuclear family. Well, my mother and father are very special to me, but they're missing in action, as I've pointed out publicly, and that I take seriously. Well, when my parents are reported dead, and I consider them missing in action because I didn't get any much of a story about what happened to them. I take that extremely seriously because I care about my parents, that's for sure. But anyway, my parents, well, I believe in God and I believe in the gods, so life is taken care of, and I believe that if my parents are missing or lost, well, they're in a better place because I believe in God, and that's for sure. But anyway, because I've seen enough things, especially over the past 15 years, to believe in God even more than I already believed in God. But anyway, and I can see that the lens on this camera is not really capturing me all the time in the full glory of my incredibly charismatic and handsome and perfect figureship and bodily perfection. But anyway, I know people accuse me of being whatever they accuse me of. Like, I don't want to sound gay, or I don't want to sound, because I'm not gay. Like, I really do like women, but you know, being attacked and being victimized for 7 years does decrease your fitness level and does cause you to eat poorly and other things and not have the kind of resources and training and workouts available that people who are well taken care of financially and legally would normally get. So I admit that I'm not at my finest, highest fitness levels and strength levels as a athlete and man. And yeah, okay. So, but what was I saying? No, I'm not drinking. No, I do not drink alcohol except maybe once a year or twice a year when I deign to try out a beer from my select list of accepted beers. Anyway, be that as it may, when I was out of food like 4 months ago, I did open a few bottles of liquor just because I didn't have aspirin or Tylenol, which I'm forcing myself to laugh at. But it's no laughing matter when you have to try Smirnoff vodka for the first time in your life and discover that it's so fucking powerful that you take one drink of it and you know that it's made in Russia and that you know now what Russia vodka is. It's like only Russians could drink it. Or if you drink it, if you try it, you have a new understanding of what Russia is, and basically it's a place where they make tanks and vodka. And if you're Napoleon, or if you're George Bush, or if you're Hillary Clinton, or um, if you're Joe Biden, or if you're the military commanders of the United States, you do not want to try to invade Russia or the Soviet Union because that's where they make Smirnoff vodka, and that's where they make their tanks. Battlefield tanks. And anywhere that makes Smirnoff vodka, which is that powerful, and if you've never tried Smirnoff vodka, well, then you'll be afraid to invade Russia, which is what Napoleon should be, again, and what U.S. commanders should be. They should be afraid of waging war against Russia or the Soviet Union because that's where they make Smirnoff vodka. Anyway, that's my reaction to Smirnoff vodka. No, after that, I even want to have war with Russia even less than I already did as a libertarian and ANCAP and voluntarist and sane human being. Russian war between the U.S. and Russia, let alone between Russia, Poland, or Russia and where and Sweden, is even less desirable than it already was before I even mentioned that. But yeah, I didn't realize look gay, but I mean, I'm repeating that I've been victimized for 7 or 8 years by my crazy uncle and my cousins, some of them, the more ruthless, profiteering, and ethically challenged ones, along with whoever, well, the politicians and or uh, other intelligentsia who want to hurt my life just because I exercise my free speech and I discuss political possibilities and I have my gig campaign. And I'm not allowed to play sports on a public or global third level sports tour. And I'm also attacked and kidnapped 3 times every 6 months for 8 years running, and well, almost. And yeah, if you're subjected to that kind of treatment, plus you're being extorted out of your money, or extorted, and you're being jerked off by money every fucking week by a crazy, demented, senile, Alzheimered out, desperate 95-year-old or 97-year-old asshole uncle who resents the fact that his daughter and other members of the family broke the law against your nephew who used to be your friend, and you're behaving like an asshole. Yeah, that's what that does to me when I'm confronted by my uncle who's crazy enough to work 10 hours a day, making believe he's helping me and my mother. And meanwhile, he's reported that my mother is now dead, and he was the one taking care of her from 3,000 miles away. Well, anyway, where am I getting with this? Yeah, I've been extorted and basically attacked and jerked around by my uncle, plus the NYPD, plus the medical or some of the medical establishment of the New York City and New York State, and it's a total fraud. It's a total crime, and I'm still here. And people who break the law pay for it. Plus, they have to face their God or plus God, the gods and God Himself. Plus, other bad things happen to them, and bad things happen to you when you break the law. And these people broke the law against me, and they've suffered for what they've suffered for it somewhat, and they'll suffer for it more until I'm compensated. And even if I'm not compensated, they'll suffer, or they'll go to hell, or they're just gonna be evil like they already are. Plus, they'll go to hell because that's what we believe, or we believe that they are what they are, and because they are evil, that's what they suffer. And good people are not like them, and that's why we're good people and we're better than them. So they'll never be us unless they repent and basically make up for it by and also the banks and the my so-called creditors who broke the law and harassed me and disrespected me and abused me are not my creditors, and I plan to fight my false uh, debts and false bills and false and the banks who have screwed me around the world, and the credit card companies who have screwed me around the world. And yeah, most people know that the banking system is a fraudulent rape and pillage of all the countries of the world. And a lot of bankers know that people know that they're assholes. And, like, yeah, if they want to be assholes, they can be assholes, but they have to answer to the same laws that everyone else does. And, like, if you break the law, then you've broken the law, and you're not allowed to break the law. So, I'm also going to, well, either I'm going to sue them, or they're going to be corrected, or they're going to pay the $100 million fines every month to the US government, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But life goes on. And now I'll take a different approach. And meanwhile, I'm still here. These assholes are still assholes. And now I'm making my video, and everyone knows I'm still here. And I'm Nick Leopold, and I haven't gone away. Yeah, I've gone through more hardship, but I've also had a lot of interesting times. And I'm going to be making more videos, hopefully. Or plus, I'll still be me, and I still have my ambitions. Plus, I've accomplished other things, and I've done my poetry in the last couple of years. And I want to get back to my painting. I want to do more photography. A lot of my photography is off of my web social media now, I guess, because Facebook and Twitter are not showing my Twitter history and Facebook history now. Okay, so what? Social media companies are criminals too, and like eventually they're going to be taken down, or eventually they're just going to become assholes. Like who? Like like Henry Kissinger is an asshole purportedly because he killed hundreds of thousands of Cambodian and Vietnamese peasants and innocent people, and yet he still lived for another 50 years and he's still alive. Plus, what? LBJ is an asshole. Plus, most of the establishment politicians are assholes because they kill and rape Americans and innocent people around the world. But they can still look good on TV, but they're still assholes, and breaking the law is still breaking the law, so they're still assholes. And like I'm not an asshole because I don't want war, and I haven't cheered for wars since I was a teenager, and I rooted for Reagan, but yeah, once I was a teenager and I was a Republican and a Reagan Republican, and we were right about a lot of things, but we were wrong about some things about Reagan, including we were wrong about a lot of the war stuff, and we were wrong about other stuff, and we were wrong about the taxation and debt and whatever, all that stuff. But we meant well, and now some of us are libertarians, and we mean even better, and we know even better, and we're also voluntarists, and we know even better, and we're still great people. We still deserve, hot girlfriends. We still deserve what we want, and we're going to get it because we're the Star Trek generation. We're the first computer generation. We used the first Apple computers. When some of us spat on those computers, we still use them and programmed the first programming stuff on Apple computers. But no, we switched to PC because we know which system works for basic rational people like us. We still use PC systems and not Apple's. But yes, when I do my films, I will probably, there's a good chance I'll use Apple. But then if I'm on a budget, I just might use my PC to edit my films until I get a major Hollywood contract or budget. But yeah, I can do my films on either Windows or Apple. But yeah, if I get a significant budget, maybe my editor on my films will, or I'll use Apple, maybe, but maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just use PC. But anyway, that's the secret into my filmmaking plans. But no, it's not a secret. It's just I'm just from the Star Trek generation plus the Next Generation plus the original America Online generation, the original Apple computer generation in high school, because I'm Generation X. So look us up. We're very powerful people who, some of us watch Star Trek. We know what a comic book is. And well, I'm like a European plus American kid. So I was in Europe as a kid too. So I know what European comic books are. And like, so I'm a European comic book kid too. And like now you're talking about Lukey Luke, and you're talking about Tintin, and you're talking about, places like France, Portugal, etc. And that's Europe. I have, je parle français, and yes, mon père est français. My father is French, so I am also a French citizen. Lest you think that's a secret, yeah, there are some of us who are dual citizens, and yes, I do have my French side of my family, which is my father and our people in France and Europe, and that's Europe, and then yeah. But meanwhile, yeah, I did live in Asia, Japan and Thailand from like 2009 to 2015, off and on. but then I was also, on the tennis tour, the ITF tour. Even though I suck as a professional tennis player, and my tennis game has been reduced to shreds because of my family and because of the way the tennis world meets out its support for the potential, well, the people who love tennis. Basically, there's very little support if you're not a very wealthy and very high ranked tennis player. And I'm sure Djokovic is doing what he's doing with his organization. I'm trying to look into his organization, the Professional Players Association, whatever they call it. And, uh, so that's a possibility, but I don't know a lot about that. And I have my legal issues also, so I haven't joined that organization. But anyway, yeah, I want to play tennis, but I know what's involved in playing tennis. But that's a whole nother story. And I want to coach, sports and coach fencing, and that's something I'm looking into this week. And I want to get in. I've been wanting to get to that, to get into the coaching world too. But then there's my consulting, and that's, well, what I've done there is established, but then it's not established publicly. And that's where we get into these corporations who also have screwed me and a lot of other people. And they think that they're just going to get away with breaking the law. And, like, I'm sorry, but when you break the law, you don't just get away with it. You may delay the consequences of breaking the law, but eventually the consequences catch up to you. And because the law is the law and reality is reality. And you may escape one set of the world's lawyers, but you don't escape all the world's lawyers. Like, there's the lawyers and attorneys in the court systems, and then there's the lawyers and attorneys in your families, and then there's the lawyers and attorneys in your communities, and then there's the lawyers and attorneys in other communities, which either support you or sometimes they don't support you, or sometimes some do and some don't. And then there's the attorneys and lawyers in, like, other places or other forces of the universe. And then there's the things we don't know about. But, if you think that the only lawyers and attorneys or the only cops or super cops are the ones you see walking around, well, then you don't really, you're not aware of all the realities of the world. Or which I'm not aware of either, but I've seen some of them. And, well, I know that if you break the law, there's consequences of some sort, usually, at least internally, but also externally, usually. But anyway, but I also understand how businesses rationalize breaking the law or breaking ethics or breaking being decent people. But I also understand the consequences of that too. Uh, when I'm locked out of Amazon and I'm locked out of my social media and I'm locked out of my emails and I'm locked out of my phones, and then I have to get a new phone and start everything over again, yeah, that hurts me. And so my enemies have been successful with that, but also it hurts my enemies and it hurts the world and it hurts what I could have produced for the world, and that hurts the world. And so they may be forgetting that, but that's the law too. You see, this is the holistic side of the law, which is like, and I've said this before to some people, the law is the same everywhere. And they say to me, well, no, it's not. The law in Japan is not the same as the law in France, here in Mont Blanc, Chamonix, France. The law is different here. I guess the guy didn't really understand what I meant. Well, I'm sorry, but the law is still the law. Well, I'm not talking about French law versus Asian law or Japanese law or Russian law. I'm talking about the law. I'm talking about different. I'm talking about the zone, or like reality, or the forces of nature, or the other forces of the universe, or the forces behind the forces of the universe, or the forces of God, well, etc. That's the law I'm talking about. But anyway, some people know what I mean, and some people are just, contemptuous of me or contemptuous of the law itself, and then I don't know what they do. They take drugs, they get into meaningless arguments or fights, or they join the Republican Party, or they join the Democratic Party, or they publish the Nation journal, or they publish the bad parts of Politico, or they create Bloomberg, or they do other like crazy, you know, crazy unlawful things. And sometimes they make billions of dollars. Like, whoever created Politico must have made at least a few $1,000. And meanwhile, I'm sure Michael Bloomberg now at this point is worth over $75 billion, maybe, or maybe he's worth over $80 billion at this point. If everyone is still paying, what is it now? $10,000 a month for a Bloomberg terminal. I don't know. Maybe $15,000 a month now. I'm not sure because I think like 10 years ago was like $4,000 a month, or maybe that was 20 years ago. But I still don't have a Bloomberg terminal, nor do I want one. But anyway, yeah, well, Michael Bloomberg, at least he contributes to New York City Ballet, which I did include him in some of my Twitter tweets when I was promoting the gala last year, or this past fall, I guess, in 2023. That was the fall gala, and I guess, yeah, but I didn't get into the dinner. That was just the performance, which, as I remember it, I was there for the gala performance. But anyway, yeah, anyway, Michael Bloomberg is now maybe worth over $80 billion, but he still doesn't really understand American traditional values and traditional economic principles, or he thinks he wants to violate all of them. I don't know which one it is. Maybe he understands them, but he wants to violate them. Or maybe he contributes to New York City Ballet, but he also contributes to all sorts of bad things too. Or he just stopped talking about taking away people's guns, but he still wants to do it, or he doesn't want to do it. I don't know, but I'm sure Michael Bloomberg. No, he also contributes to NYU, and yeah, there are a lot of attractive women at NYU and attractive girls at NYU. So NYU does have something going for it, I admit. And yeah, NYU, I'm sure there are a lot of interesting classes there too. Plus, some of my family went to NYU, which I don't want to talk about really. Anyway, I have my limits, especially with NYU. And NYU can assassinate people in our communities as well as break all sorts of traffic laws and parking laws, etc. Especially breaking parking laws with the permission of the New York City government and with actual parking permits. They break the law even more when they have permission to break the law with a parking permit. Then they can break the law parking whenever they want, right? With the assistance of New York City. And God knows New York City breaks the law all the time, right? And God knows New York City budget, it doesn't just have to be cut by 90%, it has to be cut by like 99%. Whereas the federal budget, if we cut the federal budget by 90%, we would still have a sizable budget, enough for plenty of unnecessary stuff too. But the New York City budget, New York City is truly bloated, and cutting the New York City budget by 99% would be a good start. But it may have to be cut by 99.9%. To be truly an effective city government, might have to cut it by 99.9% and just leave 0.1% of it still standing, and then we might have a decent city government, or at least one that Eric Adams cannot run us into the ground with even more dastardly in a more dastardly way. Let alone Michael Bloomberg or what was that other guy? Eric DeSchmidt, or what was his name? What was the last mayor's name? uh, what was his name? He was a very slimy guy. I think he went to Brooklyn or something. What was his name again? He's so forgettable, that guy. That slimy guy who was mayor, who slept until noon, which I respect, unless you're the mayor. when I sleep until noon and I'm the mayor, I'll be outside of the country. Like I'll be elected mayor, but I'll be outside of the country playing tennis on the ITF circuit and enjoying myself with the female players on the ITF tournaments. At least photographing some of them. Like, and now maybe they'll be over 20 years old, and I'll be kept out of the teenage tournaments now. Well, like seriously, during those tournaments, I was just there to play tennis, and like I happened to photograph several of the players because that's professional tennis, so you're allowed to do that theoretically. And like, well, they blocked me. That's all I know. And then I know who I know, and I know what the results I get is when I meet players and I like them, or I just give them a piece of my mind. And like if they're 15 years old or they're 30 years old, when I give a tennis player a piece of my mind, I know what I'm talking about. And if they're also a 15-year-old hotshot 15-year-old swimsuit model, then it's even more meaningful to me. But that's not what I intended to meet them. I was just going to a tennis tournament. But anyway, and when they're just any other 15-year-old female with a hot shot attitude of the positive, charming, or vivacious nature. Naturally, I would tend to become friends with them, at least for the moment, until we go to our next tournament. But I was just there for the tennis. But yeah, if I meet a hotshot, vivacious, hotshot personality on the tennis tour, or a vivacious, hotshot 15-year-old swimsuit model on the tennis tour who plays tennis in her tennis outfit as a hotshot swimsuit potential model, and I have my camera ready, then it's the professional tour, and I might take a few pictures of her playing. That's like, to me, that's very good and enjoyable, and the Twitter shots come out very effectively. And then, if I'm at a Grand Slam tournament, and I'm photographing someone like Yelena Ostapenko, then I do my Twitter spread of Yelena Ostapenko versus Sloane Stevens, which is just a matter of history on Twitter, at least my history, which is that it was a 264 shot spread of Ostapenko after she won the French Open, in which she was at the U.S. Open. And but I can't find it on Twitter, and but I suppose she saw it or other people did. But then then there's me as a fan of women's tennis and men's tennis since I was about 12 years old, like during the start of the 1980s, and that's me with tennis. But anyway, then me with tennis goes back to the golden age of those players, which I was reviewing on YouTube the other night, which is like Chris Evert, Martina Navratilova, and then Gabriela Sabatini, and Steffi Graf, and Jaeger, and Pam Shriver, and these people. And this is the golden age of when, well, my family and our families were watching during the golden ages of tennis, and that's, well, now today's tennis is me re-entering the WTA and ATP super fan status, while also having entered the ITF third level tennis tour. And that's my history on the ITF level tennis tour, and that's the history of the ITF breaking the law against me, which is more official misconduct against me, just as this nice, beautiful person who's innocent and tries to do the right thing, well, within reason, as far as it goes. And, none of us are, super innocent angels, but yeah, I don't try to violate the law against anyone seriously. If I have to, it's only in self-defense, so it's not violating the law. That's basically the law. It's like, if you're defending yourself and it's legitimate self-defense, then it's legal. if other people are breaking the law against you. But I'm still an innocent, beautiful person, and I don't want to hurt anyone. But I'm willing to stand up for our Second Amendment rights and our First Amendment rights and the Bill of Rights, because basically that's valuable law, and it protects us. So standing up for the Bill of Rights, just like I stand up for free market ANCAP, free market economic anarchism, free market wise, peaceful, of course, is defending basic law too. I mean, except I also defend our society being civil like it is now, except I don't support the authorities or the establishment breaking the law. And if the establishment or rich or big data or social media breaks the law against me, then there are consequences. So I said, breaking the law, there are consequences to breaking the law. And yeah, the past 8 years have been very, very extremely difficult, but I'm making a lot of very dramatic moves and plans right now to disassociate from the people who have been breaking the law against me, and to reestablish my preeminent, dominant, superior lifestyle of superiority, perfection, as often as possible, and supreme excellence and supreme upper crust um, uh, general superiority, if not being superior, back to my life after the past 7 to 8 years. Not to mention making dramatic new advances in my life for the very first time that go above and beyond what I've already done. And as far as my political campaign, my gig campaign, I might run for U.S. Senate plus U.S. Congress this year as a gig, another gig campaign, just for the heck of it. But I might not. I'll have to see. But no one is talking to me right now, or they're unable to reach me because my phone number has been changed and my email is locked. So people may be able to try to reach me, but they haven't been able to reach me, and I understand that. And that's what this new communication system can do. If the phone companies and the social media companies and the banks decide they don't like you, they can virtually make you disappear off the internet and phone systems, and people will not be able to reach you. And that's one of the reasons I'm making this video. But anyway, yeah, so what has it been? 47 minutes now for this video? 48 minutes? So, okay, that's my video for now, and maybe I'll make another video soon. What do I think of Biden versus Trump? I still think that Trump is basically still 1,000 times better than Biden, if not a trillion times better than Biden, because Biden is his socialism and collectivism is so much worse than Trump's socialism, collectivism, and debt. Biden's debt and socialism and collectivism is like 10 trillion times worse than Trump's. And Trump's, well, I remember Trump, except for the pandemic, and Trump was like a billion times better than America under Biden and the Biden team. So Trump is still a billion times, well, now he's a billion times better than Biden, because Biden, look, as far as the economy goes, also, like Peter Schiff is not right about everything, but basically $34 trillion dollars in debt. I've told people that what's going to happen is your taxes are going to go up dramatically. And meanwhile, billionaires do not pay taxes because basically their wealth taxes are unconstitutional. And no matter what Biden or any other Democrat says, wealth taxes will be struck down by the Supreme Court, because this country is not going to become a banana third world ghetto republic where we're gonna tax people's wealth. Just the opposite. We're going more towards the libertarian system, because we cannot run a welfare state plus have unlimited immigration, plus have people walking into Home Depot and jewelry stores and trashing them and stealing whatever they want, plus make the NFL dominated by breast cancer for 10 years, plus have every single Super Bowl, and the NFL dominated only by black entertainers for the halftime shows. And I admit that Usher was incredible during the Super Bowl, but who would I like to see for the next Super Bowl? Frank Sinatra. What if Frank Sinatra was brought back to life to do a halftime show at the Super Bowl? Or who else could we bring back who's white and male for the Super Bowl halftime show? Well, what about bringing back the Beatles, or what about having Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr do the next NFL halftime show? That what could they do with say Bachman Turner Overdrive plus Limp Impana plus Lush plus Lush the group, that is, plus who else would Paul McCartney and Big Ringo Starr do it with? Um, um, Elton John's Philadelphia Freedom plus oh yeah, the song Change from the Clueless movie soundtrack. That's my proposal for next year's Super Bowl halftime show, led by Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, and Bachman Turner Overdrive, plus the previously mentioned artists. That's my proposal for the next NFL halftime show next year, which will be actually a real NFL Super Bowl again, which will not be rigged by the NFL or Roger Goodell, because I don't believe what happened in this Super Bowl, that the Chiefs came back and won that game. That was another bullshit Super Bowl. The Eagles did win the Super Bowl like 3 years ago. That was the Eagles' win. That was the worst Super Bowl officiating in history. That when they took that away from the Eagles on that last drive, and I don't recognize the NFL recently at all. But anyway, that's my proposal for the halftime show next year. And I'll do another video soon if I can, because I'm back in the real world, I suppose, or I've never been left the real world, and I haven't heard from any of my friends or supporters, and I want to. And by the way, my phone number now, well, I have a new phone. I'm not sure whether I should give out the number, so I'm still thinking about that. But meanwhile, I do need internet help, and help of an internet and IT nature. So if you want to help me with that, my new email address is Nick Leopold, like my Twitter handle that's new. It's the same. It's NICLEOBOLD at gmail.com. While I try to open up my MSN email, but I'm still locked out of that. But that's my new email, Nick Leopold at gmail.com. NIC Leopold at gmail.com. So drop me an email, and I will be back with another video, hopefully. And I'm back on the scene publicly, I suppose. So what am I going to do? Show up at Republican functions because I haven't heard of libertarian functions in the city? Or if you want to tell me what's going on in the libertarian functions in Manhattan, please email me with the libertarian functions, the voluntarist functions, and the ANCAP peaceful free market ANCAP functions going on in Manhattan, because I don't want to pretend that anarchists are rioters or insurrectionists, because they're not. That's just establishment police propaganda. Anarchists are good people. They're just we're respectable, peaceful traders. That's what we are. Anyway, if you want to update me on the liberty movement in Manhattan, please do so at my email address. And if you want to say hello and you're my friend, please do so. And I'll post this on YouTube, and I'll try to post this on Rumble or whatever that is. And also, if you want to get me a contribution, I do need financial assistance right now for a multitude of things. If you weren't able to contribute to me through my payment methods, because I might have been blocked by the financial industry again. And what else do I want to say now? I am looking for girlfriend too, if you're a super hot, super charming, super funny girl, preferably from the better areas of the civilized or free world. Well, I'm always interested in people's backgrounds, wherever. Well, depending on where they where they are. I don't like the. If you're from the wrong side of the tracks, you better be the right kind of person. And if you're from the right side of the tracks, you still better be the right kind of person too, because right is right, but if you're coming from the wrong, you better be right. Otherwise, I'm right from the right side of the tracks, and plus I'm right. So I only want what's right. I only want what's right. Plus, I want someone who's right and right. Plus, looks great too. So, and that's also a good way to describe the WTA and ATP, which, and I do have my stars or credits on the WTA and ATP, which shall remain non publicized, I suppose. But then there's my life on the ITF and USTA Pro circuits, which, well, I'm still in America, so the USTA Pro circuits, I suppose I could register for those tournaments. Whether I get matches is another story. And that's the tennis tour. And if you want to learn about the tennis tour, join the tennis tour. Otherwise, people on the ATP and WTA tend to look good and play very high level tennis, and they usually come from the lower level tours first. And I'm still on the lower level tour, and I probably always will be. But then I have my superfan stars and credits on the WTA and ATP, which are still non-public. And whether they become public, that's another issue between me and the tennis tours and tennis world. And then there's me and the tennis tours and tennis world, and my superfan status, and my player status, and my victim status, and my superior status. Anyway, that's the tennis tour. Now, me with the fencing world, that's my extraordinarily high winning percentage at City College on the men's fencing team in the NCAA, and goes all the way back from 1992 to 1996 or 1991 to 1996, whatever that was. And that's my NCAA fencing record, which is in the books, and I haven't taken a look at the entire record. And I'm sure the books exist in my coaches and also the athletic directors or offices' record keeping systems. And anyway, that's my record fencing, which is a very high winning percentage. Anyway, that's me as a fencer and a potential Olympic fencer, which I never was able to do for similar reasons, which affected my tennis career, which was my first athletic aspiration besides football. Anyway, but then that's my life, and that's maybe part of my books to come, which is my autobiography or one of them. And that's a different story for another time, and maybe I'll do that in 5 years or so, or next year. But anyway, this year is this year. And by the way, Donald Trump is about a billion times better than Joe Biden and the Biden team, but I still support Hunter Biden's right to buy his pistol or Glock or whatever because because if you're not locked up, you have a right in America to have a gun, period. Unless you're like engaged in high crime or crime. And yeah, Hunter Biden, what did he do? He took some drugs at one point, and then he tried to buy a gun, and the federal authorities are accusing him of gun crimes. Fuck you. If you're not locked up and you're not a criminal and you're not engaged in crime, you have a right to have a gun in America, period. Otherwise, go to the Soviet Union or go to Russia or go to socialist France or go to socialist Great Britain or wherever you want. But this is America, and the Second Amendment actually exists. And I continue to support the Second Amendment, just like if you're a fucking asshole leftist or, excuse me, right wing collectivist Leninist and you think you can ban the First Amendment because you don't like the truth, sorry, wake up. Just because you think you own Facebook and Twitter, you assholes, you are not going to take away our First Amendment right to engage in free speech, free debate, free discussion, free exchange of ideas, free exchange of politics, and free exchange on how to make this country and this world better. Fuck you. I don't care if you're the ADL, Israel, or Pakistan, or wherever, or for that matter, the Pacific Ocean of the unknown islands of the Pacific and Atlantic unified Atlantis. You are not going to fuck with our First Amendment, and you're not going to fuck with our Second Amendment, because we're Americans and we don't care about leftist, Leninist, excuse me, not leftist, because leftist is truly libertarian from the left side of the French Assembly, and those are the true libertarians. So I shouldn't use leftist because that's a common trick by Democrats or by Leninists to call, well, the libertarians are the true leftists, and they've stolen our words. I'm sorry. If you're a Leninist and you're a collectivist, and I don't care whether you're in New York State or Texas or California or Wyoming, if you want to violate the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, get the fuck out of America or change the Constitution. But until then, until you get to change the Constitution and pass constitutional amendments, that's the law in America. And fuck you if you think we don't have the First Amendment and Second Amendment in America, as well as the Fourth Amendment and the Bill of Rights. Fuck you. Anyway, have a great week. Have a great month. Have a great next 10 years. Have a great next 100 years. And I hope you live to 250 years. I am shooting for 1,000 years. Plus, I want to enter the 100,000 year club. That's what I'm shooting for. And plus, I'm going to eat all the pancakes, all the pound cake, and all the eggs that I want, and all the filet mignon, and all the sirloin steak when I want it, because I'm a real person and I believe in real food. But I'm trying to be flexitarian too, so I only have it when I need it. I don't just eat it because I'm a pig or because I want to be a pig, and I'm not a pig. I just like, sometimes I like steak, and sometimes I like eggs, and sometimes I like bacon, of all things. And theoretically, I've examined it, and I'm trying to be as flexitarian as possible and as vegetable as possible. But yes, I am willing to eat bacon sometimes when I like it, because I'm still exploring that, and I still want to understand that issue more. So I'm still open to discussing that issue. But when I'm totally isolated, being extorted by my uncle, and being kidnapped by the NYPD and by the medical establishment 3 times every 6 months for 8 years or 7 years, just based on them breaking the law without even investigating me and my case, yeah, I'm gonna file my lawsuits, or I'm gonna get justice, or something's gonna happen. But that is against the law, and that's where I'm gonna deal with them doing that to me, as well as deal with the credit card companies who did this to me, and the banks who did this to me, and they violated the law, and they violated the code of conduct, and they violated civilized comportment, and I don't owe them shit. And if they want to sue me, I'll sue them back. And yeah, I'll change the where I do banking, or I'll change how I approach banking, or I'll learn something about why bankers have to be assholes just to run their bank, or I'll start my own bank, or I'll go to another type of money system, or I'll find some other solution. I'll consult the U.S. Controller of the Currency, and the U.S. Justice Department, and the U.S. Federal Reserve System, and the U.S. I'll consult even the bankers, and I'll find out why they're being such assholes. But then I'll solve my banking issues too. And so I'm solving my problems. And meanwhile, have a great month, have a great week. I'll see you this week. Have a great year. Enjoy the election. Enjoy your apple pie. Enjoy your filet mignon, whether you buy it at Trader Joe's, the Ukrainian butcher, or Zabar's. And enjoy your bagels and cream cheese and lox from Zabar's, and enjoy your bacon from your butcher on Madison Avenue, or enjoy your baguette from your local bakery and enjoy your Italian festivals, which I hope I get some powdered sugar pastries from those, and enjoy your bumper cars on Coney Island, which I hope are there because they're in France too, which started it probably, or Italy. And I'm French too, so bonne semaine, à la prochaine. And thank you for listening. And I know this has been long, and you probably didn't watch the whole thing, or you're gonna just go to the end and watch it. So see you this week, and see and have a enjoy this week, and I'll see you this week. Okay, this is Nick Leopold, that is. À la prochaine. Until next time, thank you for listening. Until the next time.